All right, I hope you enjoyed that performance. There's a ton of different stuff in it. So let's grab our guitar, make sure that you have the tab out. Keep in mind you can use the TrueFire tools to slow things down. And basically, let's dissect what's going on here. So first of all, the intro is going to be C, D, G to D. So each of them are a bar long. So I'd call it a 45-15 intro if you were thinking Nashville number system. Once again, those are digits assigned to alphanumeric chords. So you can think C, D, G, D, or 4-5-1-5. Anyways, so let's kind of do this cool little double stop thing, which is a way of working our way backwards to get to this nice little bend. And this is something that I would do if somebody were to ask me to come up with, you know, a nice little intro to a shuffle. So that I thought of something, well, I think this is really cool. So let's dissect that very briefly. As we're approaching from a half step on a lot of these. And keep in mind, as you go into doing these, use of hybrid is super important. So the middle and the ring finger are kind of going to access those upper structure notes, whereas the pick is going to grab the D string. So that just breaks down the C chord. We're working our way backwards. I like this lick a lot. So we're going to use our pinky on that one because it's just the way that it kind of outlines our hand. Sometimes you got to use logical fingerings to kind of be able to play licks that maybe you're not so comfortable or used to. It's in just this position. And you're going to bend the D string up and then hit that G string. So you get this kind of flat 3-3 sound. It's that type of thing. So I like that. Now we outline the D7 chord approaching from a half a step below and above. And that would I'd be outlining kind of the D9 chord. I like it. Okay, so that's going to be your intro. Let's get into what I would call, quote unquote, the theme. So this is kind of what I was thinking about is just kind of a melody if this was a guitar instrumental and what techniques would be used. So there's use of space, time, all sorts of different licks and tricks. So we're over the G chord. Double stops and open strings already right off the bat. We're kind of emphasizing our intervallic pattern, where most people, when they kind of approach double stops, might be thirds or minor thirds or sixths. This is fourths, okay? Using rockabilly a lot, I guess you could think of that. Just over kind of blues notes. The trick with this is to have your pinky anchored properly and have it kind of pop out. Because you want all those notes to ring. I love that sound. You're emphasizing really cool notes over the G chord. You're emphasizing that E note, making it a G6. Okay, now we're going to be going over the 2 and the 5 chords, doing the same thing, outlining open string licks. When I came up with that, I really, really like it. It's something that you can use if you're encountering basically winding up playing this type of chord progression. If not, you can just pluck, you know, certain parts of these ideas, but I love this. It makes me think of steel. So that's going to be played over the A chord. Grab it with your middle finger and then roll that one. Okay, so now we're going to go straight into a really cool pedal steel lick. Okay, so that's going to be the first portion of it. Think of these in segments. If you're working out licks that are a longer type of phrase, as this is, it's cool to break them down to the lowest common denominator. So take one lick, get that one, get the next lick, put them together, get the next lick, put those together. It's a great way of working on those phrases to make sure that, you know, that it sounds like a steel and is phrased as such. So you're going to be using a half step bend here with your ring finger. Okay, so that one you're going to be splitting your fingers to have the middle finger do a full step bend. So, and it's also a pre-bend. Little vibrato on the top portion there. Now you're going to see this a lot in this song. It actually happens again. So it's that tritone, or the thing that we kind of talked about in the first example, is utilizing that flat 7 sound. So, okay, so that's how you get out of that phrase. But the whole phrase, I like it. So let's move on to another double stop type of lick. And what we're winding up doing is we're playing over. I like this way of kind of incorporating big jumps into outlining chords. Okay, so that's just kind of slide up, approach from a half step below. I just like that sound. Now we're over the 2 chord or A major chord. I just like the way that that kind of jives. When you're coming up with stuff or you're figuring out what somebody else has written, fingerings are super important. I try to make these the most logical type of fingering. Sometimes you want to do something, but it just doesn't make sense and it doesn't fit in your hand and it doesn't feel right. I try to make this stuff kind of feel right once you practiced it. So, now we do a single note line thing to work our way back. We're over the 4 chord and the 5 chord for this example, setting up going into the bridge. So I'm going to do that entire phrase. That portion right there is a nice little way of working your way through the 4, 5, and getting into the 1 chord and then the 5 chord, which gets us to the bridge. So all it is a single note line. Work your way backwards right here. Now this is a double stop with bends. I'd use my right hand on that. Nice and slow release. Kind of a chromatic type of thing. We're borrowing from several different things, as the next chord is E minor. So now we're in this bridge, which is a double stop lick, and we're going to incorporate kind of approaching from below. Okay? Approaching from half a step below there. And then we're going to use this as a thematic type of thing, and we're going to play over the A major chord. We're going to borrow that idea and do what I would call kind of repetitive licks or theme-based licks. We're kind of doing the same thing. We're just moving to a different chord and altering the notes as such to make it work. And in this case, we're now borrowing. There's that lick again. It's kind of outlining flat 5 to a 5 resolution, and we're over the chord A. So the same but different. So now we're going to do a single note line to get us back, and we're playing over that kind of outside chord, if you will, of F. So that lick right there, basically you're doing a single note line. Bend down, it's a double stop bend, so down with the ring finger. So you're kind of. Now we're going to work our way backwards with the double stop lick into a triple stop or triple note or triad type of lick. So all we're doing is we're walking it down nice and easy over the 5 chord. It's a great way to outline, to get that kind of pedal steel sound where they can do all these beautiful chords of 6ths and 9ths and 13ths. It's a great little way to do it. As far as technique goes, right hand grabs the G and the B string. The pick will grab the D string. And this one I would go pick, middle, ring. Okay, you've made it to the final portion, which is basically you're bringing back a recapitulation of the theme. Because basically we're using kind of the same components that we did in the beginning of the tune. So you got... So we couldn't do that. I didn't do that lick, but I did something similar. So we're using a bluesy little double stop technique. Little bend with the pinky. Sliding into that. Now we're outlining the G chord. Now we're back into A, so you're going to hear this lick again. Very theme-based. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the back half of basically what we did in the intro, as thinking of it as our chorus, and make that as our outro. So we've got kind of a bookend, beginning and ending. That same lick again. Only difference is you're ending it slightly different. So you got... Okay, so we did that in the intro. You should already have that fingering down. Except for... So you're just approaching it from a half step above. So you got... So this tune's got all these different elements that we just kind of spoke about as we kind of borrowed from the back half of the chorus. We thought of melody. We thought of open string lines. We borrowed from pedal steel components and licks and tried to tie them all together. And then it included a bridge section. So when you're thinking about shuffle tunes and different techniques used, this is a great example of all the plethora of different ideas that you can wind up putting on a tune that you play or that you write, or a tune that you may have to play where you're going to have to improv. Lots of good ideas right here for a shuffle pattern.